Hello Team FD and welcome back to Winners and Losers, where we break down the latest and greatest Premier League action. Now we're done with the headliners. We've already fixed Liverpool. What a constructive morning this has been. We're now moving on to Manchester United, and we're going to focus on their defensive exploits against West Ham, because there's been an awful lot of chatter about Lisandro Martinez possibly being the most informed defender in the Premier League right now. Now, just to back up the headline with some stats, United haven't conceded at home in 8 hours. Very, very impressive. Wow. They only have the 6th best defensive record in the league according to expected goals against, but it is rapidly improving. Of course, had an awful start, didn't they? Losing to Brighton, losing to Brentford. It's been a hell of a recovery job since then. And they are now one of the 7 sides in the Premier League expected to score more than they concede on a per 90 basis. So, Zachary, what do you think to all the praise that Martinez is getting? And let's touch upon the collective effort as well, because my instinct is this hasn't just been about an individual.
No, not at all. But he definitely does deserve some praise. This is a guy who before he'd even played a single minute for Manchester United, was getting hounded for his height ridiculously, and that he wasn't going to be able to cope with the physicality of the Premier League. Like, he hasn't played in the Champions League against world-class talent. And it's definitely showing now. He's got used to the league. He's become a lot more, I think, understanding of what's required with the United system and what Ten Hag's doing there and what's needed in the Premier League. And Ten Hag is trusting him. He's got the 3rd most outfield minutes for any Manchester United player this season. And as we said, he faced so much criticism at the start of the season from people who clearly hadn't watched him in the Eredivisie for Ajax or even the Champions League, quite possibly. Graham Souness had mentioned he was not particularly special at anything.
I think he also said he'll get found out as well, setting him up to fail.
Exactly. And he is quite particularly special at stuff. Like, one of the things I found so impressive when I watched him against Chelsea, his aggression is amazing. He will always come out and challenge the ball, and sometimes maybe that is to a downside, but that happens for defenders. And he's also really, really intelligent. He won't always have to make the tackle if he feels like, if I drop off here. It's kind of like that Van Dijk, Thiago Silva-esque thing where they'll, instead of maybe going out and rushing all the time, which he can do with his aggression, he will also think, okay, I'll drop off here. I'm waiting for them to make the pass.
His anticipation.
And counteract it. Yeah, it's really, really impressive.
Spot on.
And as you mentioned, right, people were saying, especially after the Brentford game, the Brighton game, when he was taken off at half-time against Brentford, that, he's come a long way. He's just faced West Ham and 6'5" Scamacca, who physically, obviously, is taller than him, but he dealt with him fantastically well.
Do you know what? He's dealt with most star performers in the Premier League really well at this point. Scamacca is one name on a long list of really good centre-forwards that he's pocketed at the start of this Premier League season.
100%. And in that game against West Ham, he was really, really good. He had 5 blocks. He made 3 tackles and interceptions, completing 100% of the tackles he went in for. He has 3 clearances. He completed the most joint passes in the game. Like, it's really, really impressive. And look, I'm not just saying that he is the reason the defence has been great. Diego Dalot was another really impressive performer. I think it's being coached really, really well, and praise has to be given to Erik ten Hag, but part of that also is Martinez.
Yeah, I mean, interesting that you brought the system into play there, because, of course, Varane out injured this game. Maguire comes back in. I mean, had his moments in the first half, but grew into the game. Not an awful lot of football under his belt at current. So United fans, had to be patient with him, but finished the game strongly. And Maguire, 8 clearances, 4 blocks. Diogo Dalot, who you mentioned, 5 clearances, 4 tackles, which was a team high, by the way, 3 interceptions.
He makes 1 header as well at the back post. Yeah. That is so impressive.
And I think that is maybe the difference between him and Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah.
Just that anticipation, particularly at the back post, in those scenarios when the ball is coming from deep, it is really on point. Shaw also in solid form in this game. I think 3 tackles, 3 aerial duels, 1. And there, of course, now Casemiro is in the side, receiving better protection than they were at the start of the campaign, at the end of the last campaign. He has been pretty decisive, hasn't he? After a little bit of ring rust at the start.
Definitely. Things take time.
Yeah, but I thought against Chelsea, I watched his individual highlights, he was really, really good. Like, he makes quick decisions in possession. His instinct is always to make that vertical pass rather than be safe and sort of ferry it out wide, something we've seen an awful lot from in terms of McTominay and Fred. But yeah, let's go back to West Ham then. We do want to cover a winner and loser in the show. I don't want to talk about United all day. Their record on the road pretty poor this season, but does that tell the full story in your opinion?
No, this doesn't quite tell the full story. Prior to kick-off, this did look like a predictable result.
Yeah.
David Moyes had only won one game out of his previous 17 attempts at Old Trafford, which doesn't make for easy reading. And his West Ham side this season have only won one away game in 6. So it didn't look that great on the road. However, they've actually generated a better expected goals than all of their opposition every single fixture away, until they played Manchester United, when United edged them with 1.2 to West Ham's 1.1.
So competitive in every away fixture, but only have one victory in 7
Yes,
now.
and when you're facing,
luck, isn't it?
And when you're facing a David De Gea who was very impressive in goal and making those quite camera saves.
Dave saves again.
Exactly. It didn't help. It also didn't help as well that Paqueta was out as well with a shoulder injury, leaving their attack somewhat kind of stunted. And in the second half, when they brought on Antonio, they were definitely brighter when he came on. So yeah, look, I don't think it's one that... I feel like David Moyes will be coming away being like, oh, we should have got something from that, rather than thinking, oh, we were absolutely dominated.
Absolutely. I know, I agree. That was a really good breakdown. But let's address the main question then before we move on to any of the talking points. I just wanted to ask you, is Martinez, for you, the best centre-back in the Premier League at current? Bringing this back to Manchester United, bringing it back to the title question.
He's definitely had the best revival. I don't think he's the best in the league just yet.
Okay.
I think Saliba looks mightily impressive at Arsenal. Akanji at Man City has impressed me so much, depending on what position. Doesn't matter what position he's playing in. But I could definitely say top 5. I think I could definitely say top 5. His revival's been mega, and he is very, very tough to come against.
There we have it, a very sensible summary. Top 5 in terms of form. But where is Martinez for you lot at home? Let us know in the comments. I did want to briefly touch upon some other players. Rashford. I mean, he scored 100 goals for Manchester United now, so we have to talk a little bit about him. That was only his 7th header, by the way, out of the 100 last night.
Very Ronaldo-like as well.
He looked like Pete Ronaldo. Yeah. It was formidable in the air. Only the 22nd player to reach that milestone for Man United.
Wow.
And he's only 25. So many more to come, unless he does hightail it out of there if the Erik ten Hag administration fails. But yeah, 4 goals in 12 Premier League appearances this season, 6 goals and assists in total. Of course, isn't playing down the centre, so we should judge him as a striker. He is playing very much on the wing as a support act. And 4 goals and assists in just 180 Europa League minutes too. So it's starting to become really decisive for United, isn't it? He almost scored that header moments before as well. You touched upon David De Gea, so let's not go over well-trodden ground there. But I also wanted to throw Christian Eriksen out there.
I mean, every time United play, you might as well say that Eriksen was one of their best players. He's ridiculous.
Who would have thunk it?
Yeah,
An absolute Rolls-Royce of a player. Created 3 chances in this game, registered his 3rd assist of the season as well. Put that cross in for Rashford, didn't he? As a team-high amount of assists. So he's just so influential for them. And that midfield 2 in the 4-2-3-1 with him and Casemiro, finally, United have found some balance, right?
There's a great shot on the goal where you see David Moyes in the background. Eriksen gets the ball and he just goes, oh no, oh my God, which really did make me chuckle.
The manager sees it coming. When Salah went through on goal the other week and was on his knees, he's like, no. They just know what's coming, don't they? But who knows what's coming for Manchester United? Do you think they're going to break into the top 4?
I think they've got a very good chance. I think I said it, my pre-season predictions that Spurs are going to drop out. I didn't predict Liverpool, obviously, but I think with Spurs dropping out, Liverpool dropping out, it could easily be a Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea, United.
Given how toilet Tottenham have been in recent weeks, I would not put it past them to fall out of the top 4 of Manchester United, to usurp them. But what do you lot think at home? Let us know in the comments below. Me and Zach will hit you up in the first hour. Like this video, subscribe to the channel with notifications on, and stick around for another winners and losers clip, because we've got a Brucey bonus coming your way.